So, Per-Olof, with your experience being a reindeer herder in northern Scandinavia, what are the main challenges indigenous communities face due to Arctic environmental change, and how can research and policy address these?
Yes, thank you for the question. First of all, I want to introduce myself in a Saami way, if you mind. You know, in Saami, I have another name. I present myself in 4 generations. Ella, Vilsa, Peter, Per-Olof. And it's very complicated even if I meet Swedes. I don't understand how can you present like that. But it's all way to present and tell how different about our culture, how we deeply respect it. And we have also a kind of singing that we call yoik. And if you don't mind, so I want to join for you to get the pressure off myself and get the stress out of me, so I feel a little perhaps so I can feel that my spirits are with me. So I'm going to stand up. You don't need to do that. I'm going to do a join for you.
Something like that to take the pressure off my shoulders as well.
Okay, now I'm going to try to answer the question. At last 50 plus years, the Arctic region has warmed 3 to 4 the global average. This year has been the hottest year on record. The ecosystem that we depend on, to which our cultural foundation are tied, are under tremendous stress. A failure to take action to keep at least close to 1.5 degrees Celsius would put the world on course for a global average temperature increase of 2 till 3.1 Celsius degrees over the course of this century. This could result in a drastic 8 to 12 in Celsius degrees increase in our region. The Arctic, as we know, is changing at the rate of culture does not remember having seen this before. Action is needed, and the big question remains how to move into low emission society, getting off fossil fuels and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. Transit to alternative energy sources without placing the burden of this shift on indigenous peoples. That is, without compromising cultures that has kept the ecosystem intact. All these aspects become an issue of our human rights as the indigenous Saami people. States, governments, and industry have an obligation to obtain or free prior and informed consent prior to approval of any project. Our experience with policy and research is that when it comes to the Nordic countries, there is quite strong recognition of the value of the Sami people's indigenous knowledge. But it is still far to go to turn this into good practice on working trustfully with the Sami knowledge. Arctic policies recognize the importance of the human dimension as well as a gender equality. Even negative health-related and social impacts of climate change, environmental toxins, and the expected increasing use of Arctic natural resources need to be counted, such as Sweden's Arctic strategy.
Thank you. Now let's try to zoom in on research station perspective, Per-Olof. This is also for you. So how can indigenous communities and research stations collaborate to ensure that indigenous knowledge and local perspectives and science is combined into observing, understanding, and responding to changes in the Arctic?
Research has a key role in explaining relationships and bringing up models on how to live together. This is important not least in the relationships between the Sami people and the nation states of Sweden, Norway, Finland, and even Russia. One example on a project is the CITE project, Climate Impacts on Terrestrial Ecosystem, that the Saami Council is working on together with AMAP, Arctic Council Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program. And the overall goal of the project is to improve decision-making about the biological diversity and ecosystems that the Sami reindeer herders depend on, and to strengthen social learning and local adaptation to climate and environmental change. A key element is to provide Sami reindeer herders with tools to assist them in a deeper understanding of the weather and climate and their associated impacts on the terrestrial environment and ecosystem in their herding areas, so that they can better adapt to seasonal and annual changes. For this, the project has tested the digital tool Maptionary. Story Map aims to depict the challenges encouraged during the reindeer herding cycle to climate change, development and other factors. The project has also identified existing tools that provide climate information and service that are relevant and available for reindeer herders. The project will provide an overview of exciting weather and snow and ice data, and provide links to relevant online climate reserves and data sets stored in already existing external databases, and to document gaps and best practices in current climate service and define needs and priorities for future capacity building. The present and conclusion of this is that protection and support of the Sami culture is to protect land and water and do protection of nature, and a part of the solution to climate change. The Sami are the guide for the sustainable society, where a sustainable nature with high biological diversity and an intact, cohesive landscape is an important prerequisite. We strive to enrich the debate about sustainable future with our knowledge about all things.